Panel here with me now. Bill McGinley, former cabinet secretary in the first Trump administration. Lindsey Granger, doing double duty, co-host of Rising on the Hill, here with us tonight. Scott Bolden, NewsNation political contributor, and Jessica Anderson, former budget official in the first Trump administration. Hello to y'all. Thanks for being in tonight. This one was fascinating, Lindsey, because it was kind of two different versions of what you believe, or your side of the aisle believes, is politicization of the Justice Department.
Yeah, and I think Pam Bondi had a good heads up from watching how RFK did in some of these similar hearings to Kash Patel. So she was ready with the one-liners, which is something at least I appreciate. You learn from the history. But I think when they were asking tough questions about, let's say, Epstein and Comey, and her answers were to deflect and to find another response.
Deflect, pivot, attack, essentially.
Exactly, and be prepared with those attacks. And so I think, the Justice Department, in its best sense, in my perspective, is supposed to be apolitical and supposed to pursue things in an apolitical sense. And so she should move forward with that intention, understanding that President Trump is a very intentional person to go after people that are his political foes, and she shouldn't act like an arm of that mission for him.
Yeah. I didn't like this hearing from an oversight standpoint, including Bondi's presentation. I had to watch this hearing. There was the Democratic senators were not attacking her. They never attacked her personally. What they asked questions about from an oversight standpoint is what they were supposed to do. And she didn't respond to many of those questions and then fired personal attacks back on them. It's like she had a bag of zingers and she was just taking one out at a time, firing away. So she was prepared in that regard. But I think the American people lost, because whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you ought to have this oversight hearing. And whether the Biden administration did bad things or otherwise, she's the Attorney General right now. And her answers, no investigation, no pending investigations or personnel, but they had a lot of good questions for her that she should have answered.
Look, I thought that Attorney General Bondi did a great job today. I know that a lot of people don't like the fact that she was handing it back to the Democratic senators. But from the Republican perspective, we've seen for over a decade Republican officials go before these Democrats and be attacked ruthlessly under the 5-minute rule that these committees operate under. They take 5 minutes, they make a speech, and attack either the president or they attack the official and never give them a chance to respond. She clearly was prepped for this meeting. She decided to go in and not allow them to get away with it. One of the questions from Senator Sheldon Whitehouse was outrageous. He used the speech and debate clause to slander the president, and she handed it right back to him. And this is what Republicans are looking for. They're looking for officials who are not going to take this anymore, are going to fight back on the facts after we had 4 years of the Biden administration persecuting Republicans, including spying on sitting Republican senators.
You teed me up there for Jessica, because there were a lot of Republicans and a lot of the president's base who were none too pleased with her about, call it 4 to 6 weeks ago or something like that, with the handling of the Epstein files. Does this change it?
No, I don't think this changed anything with the Epstein files today. But what I think you saw was Pam Bondi, as Attorney General, representing the American people. We have been on our heels with a over-politicized and weaponized DOJ that first went after parents. Remember when this whole thing started? They went after parents. They went after pro-life clinics that were offering women's health care, free women's health care. Then they went after Supreme Court justices that weren't being protected. And then now all of a sudden we see that they were spying on U.S. senators. And so there's a lot here that has been politicized.
Is that setting up to potentially try to bring charges? So there's the Republicans over the last, call it 24 hours, have taken issue with the information that's come out that Jack Smith might have been looking at their phone records, right, as it relates to January 6th. And I wonder if that's setting up going down the line of trying to prosecute Jack Smith.
Could be, and there's enough evidence there to do so. I mean, this is a DOJ that was listening in on United States senators. Any side of the aisle should be opposed to that.
Hey, well, wait a minute now. There are no limitations to what DOJ can investigate and not investigate. And what was Jack Smith investigating? Hold on. No, very few. If he has a factual basis to believe, and he was investigating the conspiracy between January 4th and January 7th, he was investigating January 6th, and whether there were Republican elected officials who had participated either knowingly or not knowingly, that he certainly can investigate.
But if the DOJ has been weaponized...
Hold on. Let me just real quick. If they got a federal judge to sign that wiretap subpoena, then they're good to go. Blame the judge. Don't blame the Dems.
But we saw what the Biden DOJ did with the FISA court, where they lied to the FISA court, withheld information to go ahead and get the wiretap
So
on
Biden's
Carter
not
Page.
president
But
anymore.
hold on a second. When you're talking about sitting United States senators, you're talking about speech and debate clause protection.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just like the executive branch has protections and the judicial branch. That is a significant violation of that if
Not
they
if
don't
the
have
judge signs
sufficient.
it.
Hold on.
Not if the
if they
judge
don't have a
signs it.
sufficient predicate. We haven't seen what they submitted to try and get the predicate on that, and we'll see what it is and whether it's factual or not.
Not
You
naked.
think I'm onto something here with
Yeah,
the
I think
Jackson
that,
question?
yeah, I think that's where it's going, and I think that we know that that's the end game of all this. But I like you're saying, like in order to get to the point that they got, there was supposed to be an apolitical judge that signed off on this, and so to get to the point where we're looking into records, you have to remember it's not a conspiracy theory that January 6th happened. It actually happened.
It happened.
And there were conversations around what was going on, when it was going to happen, what part of the election was real and not accepted, and so to go into that and to research that is part of the process of figuring out who was wrong and who knew
And you
what.
did have
But if they were
Republicans
doing this on
who
the
were
up
in
and
the White
up,
House.
they could have submitted all of that and actually had transparency and said, these are what our concerns are. This is what's going before the judge. You've seen none of that with the Democratic response since this indictment has come out. You've seen none of it.
Well, none of that would come
But
out,
there's
though.
no
That
way they
wouldn't
could
come
have
out.
pursued that without the FBI director and the attorney general
right.
signing off.
And a federal judge signing off on it.
Some of the issues that'll play out, Republicans bringing this up in the last 24 hours or so. We saw the Attorney General up on the Hill. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Still to come.